Thank you very much for joining. We are shooting from Milan, Esxence, a very beautiful event, a very important event for perfumery, and I'm joined by Marie and Pep.
Hello.
They are not new to my channel. If you have followed me on Instagram and if you know what I do, I've had both of them on, and we have talked about the brand Miskeo, who they both are related to and people behind. So thank you very much for joining.
My pleasure, and
Our
thank you for inviting us.
Of course, it's always a pleasure, Marie, and we live in the same country. Pep flew all the way from down under, and we are meeting in Milan. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it's been a while since we last spoke. You had 3 fragrances on, and now there is a 4th one, and I can't wait to dig into
It was 4, and now this is the 5th.
Oh,
Number
I
5.
missed it. Right. So number 5. Sorry about that. All right. So tell us a little bit about it. So if you actually want to listen to the first live, it's on my Instagram. I will put the link below. But tell us a little bit about the 5th one.
Well, first of all, it is still part of the same collection that we launched, so it's part of the elements. It was nearly ready when we launched, but actually Pep smelled the final version when he came to Berlin last June, and it was ready, but it was too late to do the whole safety assessment process to launch it at the same time, but it was already ready.
Also, you've had it for a long time.
Yes.
It's always difficult, right? When you have a fragrance ready, and then there is this anticipation of when can we launch and when is the right time, and I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you had it for about a year and a half, and that was the last version that he smelled.
Yeah. And the thing was, when I did go to Berlin, I'm going to tell this story, and it'll be short. One day, I met Marie to go. We were going out somewhere in Berlin, and she was wearing this, and I could smell it from, like about 2 meters away.
Right.
And I said to her, "What are you wearing? Because this is amazing!" And when she told me, I thought, "Well, that is
That's
ready.
it.
That's it. We
Yeah.
don't have to change anything." But yes, as she said, it was like too late to include with the initial launch. But I think at that moment we both knew that it was going to be the next one.
Absolutely.
And I think talking about potency, I think is the most potent of the 5. I was completely surprised. I had 1 spray on the blotter and 1 spray on me, and it was the whole night. I
would agree.
It has this kind of huge aura about it. But tell us about the name.
So the name is quite difficult to pronounce if you don't speak French. It's called Feuille, so it means leaf. As simple as that.
Right.
And I think it's interesting what you're talking about, the projection and also how intense it is, because it really represents the actual perfume, right? The perfume is meant to represent the height of summer, entering a garden, everything, like the smell are exploding. It's super colorful, super green, super alive. So for me, it was very important that the perfume was doing that even technically or in the structure as well.
Right.
So not just the scent of this, but also the effect it has is like, whoa, when it comes out of the bottle.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean, I usually find very difficult to wear green fragrances. Like I don't get along with them because even though they smell close to nature, some green fragrances are very photorealistic, and I don't like that because I have a feeling that I could take any leaf
And
from the
rub it.
garden and rub it, and so for me it's not a fragrance, So for me that's my problem with green fragrances, that they don't smell like fragrances to me, but rather any random leaf rubbed. And with this, when I got to know it's a green fragrance, I was like, I'm not sure, if I would.
I know
get
you're
along
not
with
a
it.
big fan.
Yeah, but this one, to be very honest, like this is one green fragrance I would definitely recommend because it smells like a fragrance.
Yes.
If it makes sense, and I still don't know why. Like, what is the difference? Because it's very well blended. I cannot pinpoint a single note. Like, I can say it's a green fragrance, but there's maybe floral aspects here and there, but I have no idea. And then I guess you would have to. But it's really, really lovely.
Oh, thank you.
It has like powdery mastic like vibe there. But please go ahead and maybe Pep from your side.
Well, it's interesting that you say that that it's not that you don't smell it as photorealistic, because I'm kind of the same, and I know that Marie had a particular inspiration for it, but obviously everyone comes to scent with their own baggage.
Mindset or baggage is a good one.
And to me, when I smell this, and you know, like I've been before we came to Milan, you know, I've been taking notes about what this reminds me of, the thoughts that come into my head, and I, you know, I'm hesitant to say that it's like an abstract green, but this reminds me. Some of the imagery I have are, you know, like overgrown building structures with nature.
Yeah, correct. Nature has taken over.
Right. And particularly, there's a place near where I live, and I'm sure that there are in many cities in the world. But there's a park in Melbourne that has a huge conservatory. It's basically a massive greenhouse,
Okay.
and so yeah, it reminds me of nature and plants, but for some reason in a man-made structure.
Right. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
For me, it's different. For
Yeah.
me, it's a wet hut, you know, after rain, and it's covered with moss. But, but
Yeah.
I could also imagine it's an abandoned cement
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
And you know, so I think it's in both ways. But it's really.
But I like that you said wet, because it's definitely not a dry green.
Yes, exactly. It's
to me, like
mostly
a lot of the green perfumes I like have a particular dryness and bitterness, and this one is all kind of humidity. To me.
Absolutely.
How long did it take to make this?
So when I sent you the sample, it was FE6. So FE is for Feuille, and 6 is the sixth version of it. There was multiple modification, including the 6. But I've been working on this. I think it was part of even the first package I sent you. So at least
21.
a year and a half that it took. So not that bad actually, because some other things can take 2, 3, 4 years. This one was a year and a half.
But was it a lot of to and fro between you two?
No, because I would have been sent a few versions for, you know, to give my feedback to Marie on, but I don't think you reworked many. It was basically, I like this one the best.
So I think this one actually is the second one that I had you smell. I think the first time I probably sent you 2 or 3 drafts, and then this was the second time you smelled it, and it was done.
Yeah.
Amazing. Pep, one question for you.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite green fragrance? And you can't name this one. Or at least, what was your reference to green? Like, I only have 1 or 2 in my head, but I'll after.
That's interesting. I have a couple that I really like. I mean, I do like Chanel number 19, which is completely a different perfume. Things like Jean-Louis Cherret is another favorite green, but that's also a very bitter, almost harsh green. So they're the two that I always think of when I think of green perfumes.
But do you wear it often as well? Or
Chanel number 19, I wear when it's nice and warm. But that's the other thing too. I even though the time I smelled it in Berlin, it was a hot day. I remember
I think it's
distinctly.
perfect for a hot day.
Hot day. But I definitely would wear this even in the cool seasons.
Yeah. What about you, Marie?
I tend to go like more galbanum in my green, and galbanum floral as well. So the ones I love Bandit, for example. So it's very intensely galbanum green. I also love Spite from Chronotope Perfume.
Oh, I have to try it.
To me, this is also kind of like a reference green in how he shaped the, I think it's with Artichoke Absolute that he's been working with.
Okay.
And I like that bitter green. Like to me is what makes it refreshing.
Yeah.
Otherwise we go too much in the like cut grass, triplau
Yeah.
type of thing, which is also very lovely, but I don't want to wear this. I want to wear something that has a bit more punch, and I think the bitterness to me adds the refreshing aspect, right?
Yeah.
And also other types of green that I like, we were talking about a bit earlier, is the fennelly note.
Right.
So
Fennel.
anisey, fennelly, but not the sweet kind. So not too licorice. But yeah, so these would be kind of like my reference notes if you want. I would go like Spite is a good example of the kind of greens
Try
that I like.
But talking about galbanum, is there galbanum in there?
No.
No.
Really?
None at
Funny,
all.
funny. If I would smell it, the first note would come in my head would be galbanum.
No, actually, it's a different material that we're going to put in our highlights. That's called Corps Racine.
Corazon.
And I have we can smell it later if you want. It's a green. It's a green material that's similar to galbanum, but it has a bit more vegetal, carroty note,
Okay.
and also very earthy.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a crossover. I don't want to say like also like a lot of the rhubarb material have that earthy note, but it's not on the rhubarb side. It's more on the tomato leaf,
Correct. That kind
soil
of thing.
type of thing.
And where do you get the material?
I don't remember Corazon if it's IFF or
Okay, so but it's one
Givaudan
of the
or
big ones.
it's one of the big ones. Yeah.
All right.
It's a TM.
It's the TM ones with the
Yes.
small TMs. Okay.
Yes.
That's amazing. Let's smell the ingredients. I'm curious about.
You can actually start with, so this is the Corazon, so you'll recognize it instantly. It's top middle note. It's intense.
It's so
And this
intense.
is
It's a punch. You
10%.
should have warned me. You did warn me.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did warn me.
And
I
it's-
went quite fast in there.
And
Okay,
it's
wow.
10% dilution also, so you can imagine how strong that material is.
But can I say what comes in my mind? Basmati rice.
Oh,
Right away.
Like
It's a bag of rice in my.
oh, it's true.
Please tell me if I'm wrong.
And it's interesting
bag
because I've been
of
working
rice.
also on the rice accord for something else.
Rice
and
is hot right now,
I
no?
didn't think
You
of
did
using
realize
this. Now I will.
It's basmati rice.
It's beautiful.
But I think that this is what's giving. This is probably contributing to this dampness in the scent. Smelling that now, like it's clear that's some of that is coming from there.
Absolutely.
Oh, but this is the main one. This is.
So no, this is one of the, because I wanted to have, my idea of that perfume was really walking into a garden you've prepared and it's June, so it's super hot. Not everything is out yet, but there's like that moisture in the
Yeah.
air. And to me, that material is kind of a fresh green, but it also has that deep, earthy
Yeah.
hum.
But this
below
is
it,
much
right?
more earthy, the final one. I mean, this one is little airy, but it does have.
Yeah,
but not as
exactly.
earthy as or dense as it's on the skin, of course.
And I think this material to me was like, it's quite toppy as well. So I wanted to have that tomato leaf kind of bitterness without being galbanum. And this is why I went for Corazon.
Yeah. But one question regarding green fragrance. So how did you start like? So did you want to make a green fragrance
Yes.
and then okay, so you just that's all.
100%.
Or did you find this material and said, you know what, I want to build something up?
No, no, and Pep can attest to this. I think it's one of the good stories he likes to tell. I absolutely love nature. Like
Okay.
I say hello to trees, and that's not
Right.
even untrue. Like I
Yeah.
do actually do that. And he came in June while there was like all the linden were blooming in Berlin, and Berlin is full of linden. That's the tree of the city.
Yeah.
Like every time we would pass a tree, I would stop and like take some of the blossom and the leaf and smell them. And I also say thank you to the tree when I do
So
that.
to provide it to us, right?
Of course. And to me, it was kind of my way to represent that. So that perfume is that, I don't know, my admiration, my
Ode to nature.
love to
Yeah.
nature this way. But nature that's also, you know, how can I say this? Nature is not good or bad, like it just is.
It's there.
And sometimes it feels mean and scary, but it's also like so enveloping and tender. And I think
And it's
I
giving.
loved that idea of like extreme life and decay.
Right.
So
Yes.
it's life and death.
That's
It's
right.
very alive, but also it's tough, like
Yes.
nature.
Because of the darkness and the
Yes.
the earthiness of it. So
Yes.
it tells you what's up there and what's down,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
Pep, tell us about the story that Marie is mentioning.
Oh, well, I mean, just reiterating that the first time we met in person, we walked around Berlin a bit. And
Was it your first time? Sorry.
Yeah, it was first time in Berlin.
Okay, right.
And Marie would stop, pick
Right.
leaves,
You're like,
flowers,
it's not too late to.
smell them, and then thank the
Thank
tree
the tree.
and the plant.
And were you embarrassed when she did that in front?
I wasn't
you weren't.
embarrassed. It was very,
Very cute.
endearing because I'd never seen anyone do that before, and I thought, interesting person.
Interesting person to work with. Let's see how long the craziness.
No,
I'm just kidding.
but look, you know, in all seriousness, it really sort of demonstrated to me how passionate she was for doing this, and you know, like confirmed my faith in her and the perfume. So,
Right.
you know, it's great.
That's lovely. Before we move on to the next ingredient, when you sent the first mod to him, did you also receive the ingredients, or was it the first mod?
No.
Okay. So
So I think, I mean, I think that Marie sent me some ingredients after I'd smelled mods, and I wanted to smell them all without actually knowing
I see.
what was in them. And even now with Feuille, I know that I have access to the formula, but I couldn't tell you, like, because I try actually not to
technical.
look at the formula and see what the ingredients are, and even we haven't really even had a discussion about, you know, perfume. I mean, that's probably another topic, but pyramids or notes for this fragrance. Like I know what I think I smell, but I could be completely wrong about, you know, for instance, there is something in here that also reminds me of lime leaf
Right.
as well. And I have no idea if there's anything in there that's even related to that. But I get that really beautiful, sour green bite from this
But
fragrance.
citrusy.
Yeah,
also.
yeah,
It's like when
yeah.
you bite on a lemon skin.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So I get the lemon.
There's definitely a zestiness
Yes.
there, and it's balanced out by the coracin as well, with so zest and that earthiness, and we'll talk about the other highlighted materials as well. But yeah. So with raw materials, it's only sort of after the fact. So. Like we're doing now, we can smell it and go, yeah, I can see what it's doing.
Correct.
In this
What is the
perfume.
contribution of this ingredients to the full picture?
Because for me, in my role of giving feedback, evaluating, I find if I am too familiar with what's in it, I'm biased. It makes me biased straight away.
Right.
Yeah,
And you don't want to do it. It's the same with me. I have my mindset on lavender and me not liking it.
Yeah.
But I've smelled fragrances and I've loved them, and they were like, yeah, lavender is the
Yeah,
prominent
yeah.
note. Or fig, which I've never liked before, and now I start loving it. So it's always good to go in blind and kind of, keep the book open.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Let's go for the second ingredient.
Just before we go in there, like the way I would think about this is like, of course it's green, but of course there's also a bunch of flowers at this time, but not necessarily like I didn't want to go with like the obvious like rose, jasmine, blah, blah, blah. Like for me, I really had in mind like more linden, elderflower as well. I don't know if you've ever smelled elderflower. It's a bit stinky. And to me, that was kind of really going along super well with like the tomato leaf type of thing. And I didn't want it to be like floral, nice, fluffy. I still wanted to have that same intense character than the rest. So I worked mainly with Genet Absolute, so Broom Absolute.
Correct. You have used it in other fragrances.
No, that's the first time I'm using Broom. Broom is BROOM,
Yeah.
Genet
I've
Absolute,
smelled it in,
and Mimosa.
Right.
So you have both Mimosa Absolute and Broom Absolute working together to bring that kind of wet green, but also a bit honey, intense. So you can smell both of them. So you have a bit of mimosa in here, like beautiful color. And this is Genet.
It's probably this ingredient that is responsible for the color.
It's mainly broom.
Yeah, but also
So you can see,
crazy.
yeah, exactly.
Mimosa.
And to me, it's interesting you talk about the flowers because,
Oh, interesting.
sorry, you're going to have to cut that out.
Let me see if 20 minutes in.
Thank you.
What's that? This is green I hate.
Yes.
This is the green I hate. So if it would be this,
You
I
like
would
that.
not be. I would not be able to. So this is this vegetal.
Yeah. And cucumbery.
Yeah.
It also has a nice powdery honey. But I used it mostly for the wetness.
Yeah. All right.
And it has a nice honey.
Honey vibe, but you don't get that. I guess it's so dominantly green. But okay, so this is the prominently green part of it, right? So, but how does mimosa itself smell like?
It's actually not that far from what you're smelling in the absolute. I think there's a little bit more in the real flower. It's a bit more pollen-y, pollen, yellow flower. Of course, it's a yellow floral. Like it feels more sunny,
Yeah.
luminous, like light. The real flower. This is a bit more.
Okay.
It feels vegetal.
It's
It
definitely
feels
vegetal.
wet. It feels. It has a
Damp.
nice hint of powderiness, but damp is a
Yeah,
good way of
damp.
putting that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, flowers in the summer is a different feel to flowers in the spring.
Yeah.
Like I think the heaviness of the scent that flowers give off in the summer adds to the atmosphere as well, and that's what I think is really well done in the effect of Feuille. It's got this definite heaviness in it that's not all light and sparkly.
No.
This makes the fragrance much more grounded and serious, I think. So we mentioned wet, we mentioned earthy, mentioned powdery. I think these three and more things are added by this ingredient. Very interesting. But like I said, if a fragrance would be made around this, like predominantly, that wouldn't be for me. It wouldn't
And
be.
you know, like I've smelled a few mimosa dominant fragrance, and when you smell that, you know, like it's for me personally, I smell that, and I can't even connect it to those perfumes.
It's absolutely not a mimosa fragrance, also I have to say, because I know I used a visual to kind of tease the. It was just like a pretty mimosa flower, but it's not a mimosa fragrance. So if people are looking for mimosa fragrance, not this, but it's still very nice.
Yeah.
Still, just to it.
And Genet, I think you really need to smell this because this is quite special.
Sorry, Marie, because you mentioned cucumber.
Yeah.
Look here. That slightly aquatic cucumber-like vibe is
Now it's coming out. Like
Right?
it's starting to be a little bit more fresh, and that's the mimosa.
the cucumber skin. When you peel off a cucumber, then the skin, that little bit water,
Yeah.
a little bit vegetal green is really interesting. Okay, what is that?
Broom Absolute.
Broom absolute. Oh, I'm
So that's
curious.
that's the other flower that I paired with mimosa.
Oh, this is very nice. Wow.
I know.
I wonder why don't we smell more of this in fragrances? Like I know a few fragrances.
Super
that-
expensive.
Okay, there you go. Oh, this is really
It's
interesting.
beautiful.
I think it's a fragrance itself.
Yes.
It's already so complex to be worn without anything.
It's absolutely beautiful.
How does the flower look like?
It's a tiny little yellow flower, and it comes in grapes of these tiny little.
Oh, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Does it grow in like coastal areas?
It's. I don't know if it's coastal necessarily more than Mediterranean
right.
I'm
landscape.
really surprised with this.
I'll send you some.
I'm really surprised with this.
It's beautiful.
And every time you smell, there's a different facet, you know?
But you see what I mean by it's not a yellow floral. It's like not animalic, like it's not like jasmine. It just has that intensity of life vibrating inside of it.
Right.
You know, and that honey facets and
Here you smell it much more, right?
absolutely beautiful.
It does exactly have those like I was actually thinking there's actually something animalic in here, and I can smell the honey, but it's not sweet.
Yes, it's not sickeningly sweet or syrupy. Very, very complex.
I mean, there's not a lot of perfume listing also this.
Yeah.
My guess is that it's not the popular note because notes is mainly marketing in general and it's not so well known. So people are not putting it out there so much. And as a material is quite expensive. It's not the most expensive one, but it's not cheap. So it's not used so much, but yeah, I was very keen on having this and the mimosa, and also there's a little bit of chamomile, the blue chamomile in there, so like that kind of green floral in that family kind of notes, just work together,
Yeah.
basically.
But were you tempted to use tea? Because in the fair where we are, there's a lot of companies using tea in there.
Yeah.
Did you think about using?
I think like tea as a raw material is actually really difficult to work with and also very restricted.
Okay.
I think mate is easier to work with if you want to go with a bit of a tea green note.
But this mimosa thing probably already adds the earthy mate like aspect in it, right?
Exactly, and also at the base I use tons of vetiver and ambrette.
Correct.
So this is
musky,
this is what's kind of like uplifting and keeping it green and wet and earthy until the end, and also having that nice musky punch.
Yeah.
And I think that we'll probably have to wrap up soon.
Right. But last thing, last thing, when is the fragrance launching? And tell us a little bit more about that.
So we're launching in about 2 months, so it should be end of May, beginning of June. You see the bottle is the same bottle, so it's a 30 ml.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're shipping now.
Fun.
Yeah, it's in the no, it's eau de toilette.
Yeah, but that's what you say, but they are so potent. It's unbelievable.
Thank God I went with an eau de toilette.
Yeah.
So it's a 12% concentration.
Yeah.
We're shipping internationally now.
Yeah.
We don't have all the markets listed, but if you're in a market outside of the ones we have listed, just write to me. Probably I can ship it.
Are you including the samples with the bottle purchases?
Yes.
So that's a great way. My favorite is a piece. And which was the second one?
Pistil, I think.
Pistil was the one. It's really amazing. So go ahead, try it if you can get hands on it. Marie Pep, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
You're
It was
so
such
welcome.
a pleasure. I feel we should do it more, and I'm glad that we are doing it not on the screen and in person. I couldn't have asked to spend these 20 minutes with anyone else then.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
We've
Thank
had a
you.
great
Thank
weekend.
you.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye.